Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to Miss Susan. I mean, she not only caused us to sound excellent, but even she's a miracle waker. Make us look almost good on that YouTube channel. As we invite you to be a part of today's Talk Today, start things out with our good friends from the Needs Assessment Unit. Some open line, hoping to be able to snaggle a couple of our friends from the Department of Sports to come in to talk about their camps. Because summer's out and parents need things to do, not just to keep the children occupied, but hey, we just need to keep them engaged. So, open line in between, but let's start off with our friends from the NAU. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of a discussion, and honored to have in the studio today a chance to speak to the Deputy Director of the Needs Assessment Unit, Mr. Matthew Hilton. Matthew, it's a pleasure. I thank you and thank you for your team for the great work you do.
It's always a pleasure for us to be here with you as well, so appreciate you having us on today.
It's a pleasure. If you don't mind me saying, your director, just to compliment one of your staff, Miss Melissa. Phenomenal, like all you guys, just so dedicated and committed. It's a lot, it's thankless at times, and we don't appreciate it, but the little we see, we recognize that it's an invaluable service. So thanks very much.
Now I must say we have two Melissas, but both are outstanding, so it still stands. Even though you didn't specify which Melissa, it still stands.
I was careful. He called me on that one, but Melissa Smith specifically, who I was talking about. But yeah, see, you be subtle, you be careful and diplomatic. Is he talking about me? Yes, he is. But yes, thank you for highlighting, because she is, like all your team, it's just an incredible service that you provide, and the love and the compassion. And I think I see that throughout the civil service, and as the Deputy Governor is talking about building this world-class civil service where we're dedicated, committed, equipped, trained, professional in all respects. It's difficult. You're running a multi-billion-dollar business, so to speak, because of the impact it has on the economy and all of the ancillary sort of services, needs, and demands and the like. Maybe we'll get to a point where we appreciate it as a people and start to do our little bit to make it even better. But equally joining us, I make sure I get it right, the Compliance and Operation Manager, Miss Julia Faulkner Grant. I get used to the hyphenation.
That's fine.
In time, I'll get there. But welcome to you. Thanks
Thank you for
so
having
much. As we go through the whole process, though, Matthew, we see that in the financial sector, an increase in this notion of compliance. What is it? It's not just your compliant society, which I think Cayman is to a great extent, but are we making sure that we're following the rules and regulations? Are we? But for the Needs Assessment Unit, share with us from that perspective.
Well, you do know we handle a great deal of government on behalf of government, a great deal of money where we disburse funds to individuals. So we do have a responsibility as that gatekeeper to ensure that those funds are being utilized effectively, because the government has set aside funds for a specific purpose, and we're to ensure that it's being used for that purpose. And when I think about compliance from our perspective, it's not about crossing T's and dotting I's. It comes right back to caring for the individuals, because we have a great deal of indigent persons in our community and limited funds to serve those people. So part of our compliance, our goal is to ensure that we have the resources available to provide for those persons. You understand? We don't want to allow for people to abuse the system, utilize funds, and then if there are no funds available because of that abuse, then people who need to benefit from it can't have access to it. So that's our main goal for our compliance, is to once again continue providing for our indigent people.
And I think too, you're talking about public funds, and then you got a populace, whether it's the Legislative Assembly doing a finance committee, or there's a question on the floor of the House, but even maybe in the media, social or otherwise, or just the public, and we say these things without it being fully informed. Sometimes, with the greatest respect, we do so disparagingly, improperly and inappropriately, but we do that. Other times it's just out of being ill-informed. Other times it's a genuine question. If you have your checks in place, it makes the recipient in that much better position, but it also makes the country that better place to do for its own. But from your perspective, it must fall on your shoulders then.
Yes, it does. I mean, I recently joined a unit coming from the Office of the Ombudsman. I can definitely say it has been a challenge. I joined a unit in February as the operational and compliance manager, and it has been a new learning experience for me. I mean, I must say the team at the Needs Assessment Unit, great support as well, including management and so on. So it has been quite a challenge. Yes.
But Matthew, you shared, it's not just about forms are being filled out and the I's and the T's are in the spot, and there's the internal checks, but there's also the clients. Are they sufficiently qualified, if that's the word to use? Are there other things that we could be doing in that process? Probably recognizing that the bandwidth now needs to be expanded, as it were, to include potentially more recipients, or to restrict certain areas and expand others.
I'm glad you brought that up about internal versus the external with the clients, because I think most of the times when people think of compliance with NEU, it's focused on the client. But what we are striving to do as well is to establish a very thorough process where we're also doing internal compliance, because we want to be held accountable ourselves to ensure that the disbursements or funds are being done in an appropriate manner as well, so there can be no biases from internal persons. So Julie's very difficult job is to ensure that internally we are abiding by our own processes and doing things in a fair and transparent way as well. But in regards to external compliance, we've had issues in the past. And I must say that the team is very diligent, even though we haven't had an established compliance unit, and Julie is the first of that component. Even though we haven't had that established in the past, the team has really always taken it upon themselves to ensure that they are being responsible with the disbursements of the funds. And it comes in the form of looking at bank checks, for example. There are times that I could tell you some stories. I could tell you some real stories, interesting stories. We've had cases where persons have been receiving welfare for a number of years who weren't resident of the island. And it's only through our process of doing compliance check that we've been able to discover these people. We've had people who have an income, a solid income is sufficient to carry their monthly financial needs, and they were getting services for years. And it's through that compliance check process that we're able to identify these persons and remove them from the system. So we do have some very interesting experiences that show that there is a need for this component to ensure, like I said, people are getting what they deserve and government's money is being put to proper use. And
as I perhaps not only invite the discussion, but the listening public to stop, reflect, and to consider. If we have an ethos within our society, I think that we expected that was the case way back when. That may have been 2 months ago, it may have been 2 decades ago, where people would say, okay, you sent me the check, but it's my name, but it's not me. The famous example that comes to, Michael Jordan gets a check, but it should be, for Michael Jordan, not Michael B. Jordan. And you can go and cash it because it is Michael Jordan. Yeah. But now he made that story actually how I found out who he is, right? And the young lady say, you don't know Michael B. Jordan? And there was some flat in their voice, but Susan tells me a different story. But our society was that we would have responded to that just like the person gives you too much change. It could be a couple of cents, it could be a few dollars. Our society is changing for different reasons. Unfortunately. And we need to be there. There's also the perception, too, that you see a family receiving something and you go, they're getting that, believing that they should not be eligible because of our perception, when the reality is that, well, that's just a facade. The reality is that that little bit they get in, they could use a whole lot more. Without your compliance checks, how do we know that the money is being well spent?
Without compliance check, you really wouldn't know how the money is being well spent. I mean, what are compliance check? Part of the procedure for compliance check is we do background checks such as employment verification. We do medical checks to confirm if a person is, genuinely ill, as well as we do our immigration checks as well to see a person's travel history. For example, for a person to receive benefits or to be eligible, you need to be on the island at least for 8 months. If there's a case where a person is off island for over a year, but then you're still receiving benefits, then you are most likely at risk of losing those benefits. Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of what falls on compliance as well. And we do quite a bit of extensive checks. We do our bank checks. We do marriage checks as well through general registry. For example, if you claim in your household that you're not married, however, when we do that check, you don't find that you are married, then there you go. That falls in line with non-compliance as well, because you're most likely you're getting double income, whereas you're just claiming for the one income there. And we also do the maintenance check as well. If you have children, your spouse should be, if he's not, or he, she, or if they're not contributing towards the children's well-being, they should also be doing that. So we do those checks as well. I mean, we do quite a bit of checks, as well as a trade and business license check for disclosure of businesses. Time to time, you'll have some individuals, they're pretty much, claiming that they don't have any extra income. When we do those checks, we find that they might have some kind of business coming in, as well as not only that, but they also have work permits for a bunch of individuals. So, and they're bringing in income. And so those are a lot of the issues that I find since being in the unit that we're faced with. It's quite a challenging job, actually, because sometimes you have to take it at face value, and a lot of times, even when we do those checks, it means certain things we still don't get back that would help our case.
Well, sorry, Ms. Hoyton.
Well, I just want to jump into what you said earlier in regards to what Julie was saying just now about taking at face value. Just to clarify a little bit, what she means is that whatever the information is provided to us is the information that we have to go off of, and we can't base it on anything else other than that, which is why compliance becomes necessary. But sometimes it's where the public comes in, because you mentioned earlier as well about how are we able to tell that. We do depend heavily as well on reports that we receive from the public. We invite people to let us know if there's any suspected fraud that we may not be aware of, because otherwise we may not know what to investigate. You see what I'm saying? So it's very important that the public cooperate with us, and if they see something happening that shouldn't be, then report it to us, and then we have a grounds on which to start our direction for where to start investigating. We serve over 2,000 families. It's impossible to just pick up and say, I'm going to check each and every one, every single detail. We have to have some direction to go with, We do our random checks. We will pull a random file to look at certain things, such as the immigration check, for example, the travel, which is something as is not just about the residency requirement, but if someone is coming in to receive welfare assistance, then the idea is that you don't have disposable funds towards other things. So if we see someone is traveling often, then that raises flags for us, because the question is asked, how are you able to fund these trips? What's the purpose of these trips? So all those checks are important for many different reasons.
Well, when we come back, maybe you can invite you to share more with us if you so choose. And then I'm thinking publicly, we have a role to play. It is the public funds. It's today's money, but it's also our children's money. Are we being good stewards? Are we helping to ensure that person A, who is receiving X dollars, perhaps could use X plus, a little extra? Person B may be not fully, desirous and deserving of this amount, but unless the public gets involved and informs you so you can carry out investigations, maybe we could talk a little bit about that, some of the compliance elements.
They're almost acting as whistleblowers.
Good stewards, I call it,
Yes.
helping to create that ethos of ethics and integrity and a sense of value within our society. All right, good chance to continue talking to both Mr. Matthew Hilton and his compliance and operations manager, Ms. Julie Faulkner Grant. A few more minutes of information sharing. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The following is a special announcement from the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again.
Six-Up Back to School Members Backpack and School Supplies Distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the Six-Up office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 shoe shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring identification, and if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, Six-Up Members Backpack Distribution, July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the Six-Up office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 shoe shop.
July 13th in Cayman Brac, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
King Sports Center Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 2nd to August 2nd. Now in its 15th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids ages 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and craft, dance, singing, and more. Your child can practice physical and social skills while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, call 946-KING. Like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram or call 946-5464. King Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Register before May 31st and save 10% on camp registration.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for the opportunity here to continue learning more about the Needs Assessment Unit. The Deputy Director, Mr. Matthew Hilton, the Compliance and Operations Manager, Ms. Julia Faulkner-Grant, joins us. I think more the public, that we get a better sense of how things transpire. It gives us a perspective to be informed, to be able to hold you accountable, to be able to add value, to be able to understand, so that we know if I'm wrong in this perspective. Certainly want to be guided, but I believe we as a society need to consider that the money that government spends is not just our money, it's our children's money.
Right. Exactly.
And if the government has to borrow to spend, well, that's akin to us borrowing to spend. So are we getting value for it? But not an easy task. So thanks for the stories like you guys doing it. From the compliance perspective, though, investigating the notion of doing the due diligence and the checks and understanding. Two questions. What more can you tell us about the process? And two, is there anything else? You mentioned the word whistleblower that we as a public can do to help inform. Now, some people will do it and say, "Yeah, fix you, told them on you." Others will be reluctant because we don't want to get into someone else's business. We're not quite sure. Help us to understand the perspective.
But what I'll do is I'll touch on the what the public can do, and I'll leave Julie to begin the conversation about what our processes are.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So in regards to what the public can do, as I stated before, it's very important that we receive reports. We depend on that. Mm-hmm. So if you see something, if you know someone who's receiving welfare and you suspect that there's an issue there, then you can report. You can make anonymous reports to us. Yeah, you can send in emails. You can contact us by telephone. You can come in person and drop off a letter. As anonymous as you want it to be, it can be anonymous. And what it will do is will spark us to know where to begin to have that that investigation. If you know one of the officers personally, you can approach them and anonymously make that report as well, letting them know, and they can report to management. We can spark that, initiate that investigation, as I said earlier. Mm-hmm. So we do respect your right to privacy and your desire to be anonymous. We don't use up a report as evidence because that isn't evidence. That's, like I said, it starts, it initiates investigation. Our findings is what will be used as final to determine the outcome of that.
So once that person has a reasonable belief, irrespective of the motivation behind it, because it is our money, and this idea of looking into recipients of public funds, it's not just an issue that here we see it globally. Yeah, countries are ensuring that money is being spent in an appropriate way, that the recipients are benefiting. I think without a stretch of imagination, we saw in the U.S. recently where they're saying to the recipients, this money can only be used for this specifically, not for that. Doesn't mean that it isn't used for these things, but they specified not to be used. So, Miss Julie, your job would be a lot easier if we do our part, eh?
It would be.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you. First, falling under compliance, we want to ensure that clients are aware of and comply with the relevant laws and policies. Someone coming into the department who's looking for benefit, first that person would fill out her pre-assessment form as well as a release of information. And the client, which would allow the client to disclose, that allows them to disclose, our client agreed to disclose all information for every member of their household. Or they would meet with an officer after all of their requirements are fulfilled, like the documentations have been received. And our officers have two jobs. They have to ensure that clients have access to services, as well as ensure that those clients qualify. Some of the type of welfare fraud. Now we're going through the process. After this, when the assessment is being done, compliance unit would be alerted. For example, if the client didn't disclose their income, such as I mentioned earlier, rental business or donations they're getting, if the person also failed to disclose the number of individuals living in the household, also or misrepresent. Yes, that also. Yeah, that is the case. True. Failure also to disclose increase in number of persons in households. For example, new partner, children. Failure to disclose recent nuptials. I think we are touching that also as well. And change in address, change in employment, dishonest about their living circumstances. Some may come in claiming to be homeless when that is not the case, as well as some may claim benefits for persons who are not dependents, not in the household. I just find it to be really weird how someone could do that and very dishonest. For example, you're claiming for maybe a niece or nephew living with you when that's not the case, so that you can get more benefits as well as colluding with landlords to defraud the department and share funds.
So just for clarity, A is renting the property to B. They're saying, listen, the rental every month is $500 when it's really just $300, but they split the extra two.
Exactly.
Just for argument's sake. Okay.
Yeah. Have anything to add?
Yeah.
That's pretty
well, and it could be a situation where no one is residing on a property, or the property doesn't exist, which is where our checks come in, where we can do a site visit, or we'll do a land property check to make sure that is the property and that person is actually authorized to lease that property to someone. So different things that we do look into.
If as you were sharing, then I was just thinking back to some of the things that maybe seem to be rather simple and innocuous in a sense. Notify change of address, not notifying little things that we may think, well, that's no big deal. To you, it's a big deal. You want to have all the accurate particulars on file.
Yes, we want all the information to be up to date.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
Definitely.
So if there's a change of circumstance, just advise you, hey, I'm moved from A to B. I've now, have this instead of that. I don't have this when I did before. Because it could be, on the flip side, it could be that things have changed for the worse for you. So you potentially could be the recipient of more funds, potentially. So just keep the information up to date. Just like how the bank asks you for everything.
Definitely, yeah. Because if you think about it, needs assessment unit, we act as financiers. Unfortunately, a lot of clients coming to the needs assessment unit for benefits or assistance, they don't see the need that they should provide all the information that we're requesting. For example, if you go to the bank, if you want to get that loan, you need to provide all the information that the bank is asking you for, or you most likely will not get that loan. So
thanks for reminding
we're
me.
handling money, government's money. It's not our money.
The bank has asked me for the name of my pet. Now I need to go get that today, and I forgot.
There you go.
My goldfish changed the name.
It's not that we're trying to make it difficult for clients, but that is our requirement. It's part of the criteria. It's part of our policy. So you need to follow those things.
Yeah, it's not making it difficult. It's protecting.
Right.
It's definitely protecting the vulnerable.
But I joke about it, but the bank usually asks us for things as much as we complain about it. We will get that information for the bank, maybe grudgingly, but we get it for them. But if it's a government agency, what do they need that for? And we're reluctant to provide it. Is that just an unfortunate mindset?
Yeah.
Is it because we believe it'll continue? What are you going to do, fire me? What are you going to do, cut me off? Yeah, actually.
Yes, you will.
That will happen. Oh, them bad civil servants, boy. But I hope that in this, that we see the importance of doing it, because we're going to probably be the same people who are going to complain about, government give them money and not checking on who's getting it and look at how they're spending it, because we do that as well. Boy, you got a difficult job, my friend.
Yeah, and we also, I mean, I want to touch bases always. There are consequences. If we find that someone was lying or trying to defraud the system, or, you just wasn't honest, I mean, we will provide that person with a warning letter. Warning you, this is what's going to happen if you continue with that kind of behavior. And if there's a repeat of it, then you will be most likely be barred for at least 1 year, whereas you're not going to get any services.
And it depends on the nature of the offense as well, the circumstances. Because the incident I referred to earlier, where someone was making a full salary and wouldn't disclose it for years, then when that was discovered, that person was immediately barred from services. So there was no warning letter, because for a number of months we've been requesting the information and just been skirting around the issue. And when we did find out the gravity of it, it was immediately they were barred from services for that reason.
It's unfortunate, and I think as I look at what you're sharing and thinking of it from the perspective of, I'm an auditor, I'm coming in to check, are you guys doing what you're doing? You're going to be subject to the audit, whether it's internal or otherwise, just like any other organization.
Exactly.
So you got to be compliant.
Yes.
And then when you're doing so everything hinges on the input cooperation and the timely, accurate information from everybody else, so that it comes down to value for money and being good stewards.
And I must say as well, Dwayne, in regards to the consequences, now that we have Julie on board, because it's a lot of work, as I said, and helping us to formally establish our processes. Yes, she is. She's hit the ground running to formally establish our processes. We have now established a relationship with RCIPS, and we've begun reporting some of these issues to them, for them to do their investigation and then take it further if necessary.
If I can ask then, and not many people probably want that, probably even appreciate that, but if you worked for someone and you took something that wasn't yours, that's theft, that's fraud. The same with government. If you receive a service and you're not eligible or you misrepresented, I'm careful with the words here, that's still fraud, and you can be subject to prosecution, imprisonment, fine, punishment.
It is a criminal offense.
There are things that could affect you in a negative way. Maybe we need to appreciate that that's significant, and it doesn't matter. I think the public corruption legislation that we have there, not just the standards in public life, but the anti-corruption legislation is there to protect the country's interests.
Yes, and as I said before, and I can't say it enough, we've been charged with a serious responsibility, a significant responsibility to help provide for those who can't provide for themselves. And in order to ensure that that is done in an appropriate way, we can't allow other people to continue to disenfranchise them by taking what they don't need from those who have a definite need.
I'll say this, and just more of a passing comment, and it may hit some people hard, it may be not until a while, but I think in some societies, and perhaps in ours, there is or was a perspective that, that's government. No one's going to miss that. That's no big deal. The government project that costs 10 million, that costs one in the private sector, for argument's sake, we accept it, as opposed to, seeing it that it's still money that isn't spent as effectively. As we introduce a new ethos, a new mindset, a different change, that we want value for money, it's for us now as a public to get on board.
Yeah.
And we appreciate any feedback that the public can provide to us.
Mm-hmm. Well, how would we give the NAU feedback, whether confidential or anonymous, whether it's otherwise? And now people as they speak, and sometimes we get emotive, we get unsure. What would be the best way? If someone listening now wanted to share something, instead of calling in now and getting into it, they wanted to share with you. They had a query, a question, they had a concern of a potential allegation they want to make, whatever it is. What's the best way?
They can call me directly. I mean, I am willing. I mean, my number is public. It's government number is 244-7255, or email as well.
Yeah, they can send emails as well. If they can send to our general email inbox, nauinfo@gov.ky. But if you email Julie directly, it's a bit more confidential because it only goes to her. She's the only person that will see that email. You can even email myself if necessary. You can deliver something in an unmarked envelope. Just drop it off at our office and put it to Julie's attention or my attention, and we'll look into it to investigate.
All right. Well, one listener says, thanks for the information. That's exactly what I needed. Even before we asked the question, you guys answered it.
There you go, definitely. And I mean, I can give you my email address as well after the show. I mean, if anyone calls and need it, they can always give it to them or call the unit, my direct number again.
Mm-hmm. Please. Yeah, it's important for us to be able to, because it is the public funds, and as we look at it, it is our money. Our more important, our children's money, because They're going to come looking for it, put us on. Are we going to have it for them?
Definitely. And sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that bearing in mind that the goal of the NEU is not to have welfare ongoing for an individual indefinitely. We do understand that there are persons who will not be in a position to make changes to their situations. They would whether it's the elderly or the permanently disabled, those persons will always be a part of our system. But our goal is to help families to be self-sufficient where they're able to be self-sufficient. And when the funds are used towards that goal, we're helping to improve the country. But if you're allowing people to abuse that and taking away from the elderly and the disabled and not making efforts to move forward themselves, then you're only creating this vicious cycle where welfare will continue to grow and it'll become this monster that no government would be able to
it's not sustainable
contain.
for any society.
Exactly.
No. Yeah,
exactly.
And I mean, like the Cayman Islands, we don't charge taxes. Like, for example, it's probably Canada, the UK, or the United States. I mean, I guess all the taxes charged in other areas, but I mean, we're not a welfare state.
It's no direct
taxation. We couldn't
taxation.
sustain that, definitely. It's too small.
Well, it's a difficult challenge for public policy.
Yes.
One end, there's a spectrum of people that are really just getting by. There's others that are scrabbling every day, making too much to not, to qualify for certain services, but not making enough to be able to live in the ever-increasing costs and demands of our society. How do you strike that balance? It's for us to be a partner with you.
Unfortunately, some individuals may not want to live within their means. So at the end of the month, I mean, you got to just, or before the month is over, look at what your expenses are and what you're going to be spending, what's coming in and what's going out. Don't put your hat. The old time people say, don't put your hat, where your hands can't reach.
Yep, cut your sail according to your cloth, huh?
Yes.
But I'm glad you said that, because I think into the women of yesteryear, specifically, who were the bankers and the mothers, they did everything in the society, and they did a lot with very little.
That is true.
They were able to save. They got things done. They were good stewards. They managed the resources well. What are we doing now? Are we interested in the latest gadget and taking a trip, having multiple cars? Hey, if you can afford it, that's
good for
you.
But
that's fine. But if you can't, don't beat yourself up. You're serving a greater purpose, and you're sacrificing now, because hopefully when tomorrow comes and you're 75 and you're healthy and you're still able to sail around the world, hey, life is just beginning, right?
Yes, for sure.
But maybe you do it when you're 45 too. Still waiting for that. I really appreciate the opportunity. Are there other things you would want to share with us so as a public we're informed?
And Mr. Mar does every time she comes on. It would be remiss of me not to as well. But just really wanted to thank the staff, because we are constantly under a lot of pressure. Constantly, it doesn't seem to give up, to let up. And as hard as it comes, they fight back just as hard. So I do want to acknowledge them and all the Melissas and everyone else in the office for all the hard work that they do. Because if I was to sit here and we could do a whole show on the challenges that we face at NEU. You can ask Julie, who's a newcomer. You can see it on all ends. We face different battles, and the fact that they show up every morning and push as hard as they do for their clients, whilst they're going through personal problems, I think is very admirable.
So late.
And yes,
long hours. They put in very long hours.
Very dedicated staff.
Yes,
I've seen that from a distance, and it makes me proud to be a public servant when I see those kind of people. Because while you guys are working hard, here we out enjoying it. I mean, it's no, someone has to do the work.
Yeah.
No, I commend you for it. It's unfortunate that that's a growing need, but it's such a blessing that people like you guys are so dedicated.
I got to touch bases on the difficult customers as well. I mean, having to deal with the difficult clients on a day-to-day basis, not easy.
Not easy.
I mean, I have witnessed it firsthand. I mean, it'll beat you down. I don't know if it strengthens you, Roy, but...
Well, you still here, so it has.
Yeah, must have. Yeah,
Well, thank you all very much. We look forward to having you on again, as you need, and whatever we can do to help to make an appeal, perhaps share information. As a public, maybe we'll eventually get there to appreciate that we're in this hand in hand.
And we thank you in the team of Radio Cayman as well, because these partnerships are what help us to make those improvements and reach the public. So we do appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Ro, for accepting the invite to gradually inform us. So enjoy the rest of the week.
Yes, sir.
It's only 4 days, but boy, that's only 4 days until Friday. It's going to be 40 when you think about it. All right, well, when we come back, Miss Susan and I are going to tag team, and we're going to be able to take your calls. Right, Miss Susan? 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
The following is a special announcement from the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again. SIXA Back to School Member Backpack and School Supplies Distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ready Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring identification, and if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, SIXA members backpack distribution July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
July 13th in Cayman Brac, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ready Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we just had a chance to chat with our friends from the Needs Assessment Unit, if you have any need to contact them, maybe you want information, maybe you're trying to help ensure that wow.
And while Sterling regains his voice, you're listening to Radio Cayman's Talk Today. And, of course, the number to call is 1-800-534-8255. Sterling? I tell you what, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
The following is a special announcement from the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again. SIXA Back to School Member Backpack and School Supplies Distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ready Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring bring identification. And if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, SIGSA members backpack distribution July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIGSA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 shoe shop.
July 13th in Cayman Bragg, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning.
Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I'm gonna walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to. Give me Jesus in the morning. For the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name.
Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Country
classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again.
They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Well, I love the lady.
Country classics.
Young love, first love. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. 2 Venezuelan men have been formally charged with possession of criminal property, money laundering. They're part of the group arrested after a private plane was seized during an investigation into the movement of gold through the Cayman Islands. They were due to appear in court today. 2 others were previously charged in the same incident. In international headlines, a fire on one of the Russian Navy's deep-sea submersibles killed 14 sailors. That, according to the Russian defense minister, who did not give the cause of the blaze or say if there were survivors. The ministry did not name the vessel that caught fire Monday, but Russian media reported it was Russia's most secret submarine, a nuclear-powered vessel designed for sensitive missions at great ocean depths. Russian President Vladimir Putin canceled a scheduled appearance and summoned his defense minister to get briefed on the situation. National Guard officials in the U.S. say an hour-long lockdown at Pease Air National Guard Base in New Hampshire has been lifted after a report possible shots had been heard fired on the base. The base in Portsmouth was on lockdown earlier today, but an all-clear was issued at about 12:37 p.m. Eastern Time. New Hampshire Air Guard Colonel Bill Davis says there are no reports of injuries. No shooter was confirmed, but the lockdown was treated as an active shooter scenario. Further information was not immediately available. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us, and welcome back. And thanks again, too, to Miss Susan. Boy, there's a reason why you don't drink cold water. Wow. It's a good day to be here, and thanks so much for joining us as we invite you to be part of the discussion. A few quick minutes with our good friends from the Department of Sports to tell you about the upcoming summer camps. In the studio is the Assistant Director, Mr. Flynn Bush. Hopefully, one of the basketball coaches, Coach Ridva, will be able to join us. But Flynn, hey, thanks for coming in, man. It's summer, and every year for as long as I can remember, the Department of Sports have put on almost every possible camp that gives our children a chance to either continue developing their sports, get introduced to new sports. This year is no different, man.
I appreciate you having me on and having Ridva on when he arrives. And just caught in that crazy traffic out there.
It feels almost like Christmas, that traffic. I've never seen summer traffic like this in a long time.
Can you imagine what this Christmas is going to be like?
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm thinking of what I'm going to order. Oh, sorry, you thinking
the traffic-wise.
But,
yeah, and thanks too for also saying that Department of Sports has been doing these camps for so long now, and it's become almost a fixture in our community.
See, if your director, Mr. Anglin, was here, I would say, yeah, even when he was a young boy, it's a fixture. But I won't say that, implying that he... No, I won't do that. No, but the camps have been ongoing for truly a long time, and it's not just something that helps to engage our young people and keep them actively, and safely involved, but it gives our parents a sense, of comfort, a peace of mind as their children go with the responsible people, whether it's the football camps, that's the one that have, that in the basketball that I've seen more sort of closely. The child gets a chance to hone the skill, gets a chance to say, this looks like a pretty interesting thing. I didn't quite get it doing the PE. I didn't get a chance to participate in the league. But in the summer camp, you get a little bit of the dribbling and the ball handling skills. You get to develop some new friendships, and you start to appreciate that it's a good game,
Exactly. That's exactly how I would describe it too. It's basically a process of meeting the child where they're at. And some will need the more higher level skill development, and some are just beginners. Some have never even been introduced to the game, like you said.
Yeah,
but it's a good atmosphere, a good experience.
Now, for your camps, and I invite you not just today and this week, but in the ensuing weeks as the summers roll on, and some camps going to be this week, some going to be next week, some going to be those things that happen, so that the public one is reminded. But if could we start first off, if someone, a parent, or even a young person is interested in it, how to find out which camps are on and when, and go through the process with us.
Okay, for those who are technically and technologically savvy, our Department of Sports website, this is www.departmentofsports.com, has all the information on all the camps, the dates, and registration forms. Just at that point, I just want to make a quick note that the cricket camp that's going on this week is a camp that has a separate registration form, a little different, but otherwise our general registration, summer camp registration form covers all the other sports. And you can go from there. Also, information can be achieved or gotten from our department, which is phone number is 949-7082, 949-7082. Also, the department is where one would go and pay and turn in the form as well and pay for the camp, which is a nominal fee of $25, with the exception of the cricket camp that goes on this week, which is free. Every camp is $25, like I said, and just
And that's for the week.
That's for the week.
So if there's 5 days in a week,
$5 a day.
Susan, you got a calculator? We can calculate $25. That is, I shouldn't do that. That's not funny at all. Let's not be afraid of math. Math is a good thing. If there's government accounting, $25 equals to $8 a day. No, just kidding. No, $5 a day. And I know for many of us that may seem like for some, $5 a day. That's more than I spend more on coffee or I spend more on a candy bar.
And I know exactly where you're going
Yeah.
because even though it's,
Yeah.
like I said before, a nominal fee, it's not the case for some people. And
Yeah.
there are some that even $25 is tough
It's
to
a
come
lot.
by. And
Yeah.
you live in, day to day on a tight budget. In that case, then assistance can be received from the department. All that's needed is for the parent or guardian to reach out to us at the department and explain the situation, and scholarships are available.
All right. So we know they can call 949-7082. They can go on the departmentsports.com website. The physical location is where they drop off the forms if they so choose. Where is the Department of Sports located?
Okay, our office is located at the Truman Budden Sports Complex, and as you come in the main entrance to the main grandstand, it's just to the right. So you just walk in the main entrance from the parking lot and you walk to the right. You can't miss it.
Okay, so we're driving down as if we're going towards the school. We turn a left there, go past the boxing gym,
and
go
past the
Lions
pool.
pool, continue down towards UCCI. But before
But if you
there,
got there, if you got to UCCI, you've gone too far.
You got to turn back. So you
Yes.
turn into the main gate. You come in. You shouldn't be able. It's right there.
It's right there.
All right, the grandstands. And I say that because sometimes not only those of us who are new, but those of us who probably don't venture that way that often.
Right.
And with all the construction of new roads and developments, we get turned around. We're not quite sure where we're going. We've got a general idea, but we're not sure. I was right there at the Truman Budden Sports Complex, and find your way, drop
Yes.
off your form, get your children registered. And now, this week, as you shared, you got the Craven Cricket kind of sort of partnership with the cricket at the Smith Road Oval.
Yes.
And then what else?
And netball is also this week.
Netball.
Yes.
Males and females can get into netball?
Yes.
All right. And if anybody's out there, I don't think you'll mind. He'll mind me sharing because he's a phenomenal athlete. Whether he's playing football as he did on Saturday evening, but if you are a young fella and you think cricket is for girls or that's a girlish game, go play it. You're talking about a difficult game with lots of skill.
I agree.
You may not appreciate it until you play it. So, and it's not a game for girls only, and it's not one of those easy games. So join us equally. The imposing presence of a fellow who makes Shaquille O'Neal look like a little baby and a toddler will be joined in a second by basketball coach Dwayne Ebanks, together with the assistant director over the Department of Sports, Mr. Flynn Bush. And gents, it's a pleasure for us to spend a couple of minutes to advise the general public and our parents in particular of the various camps the Department of Sports have, again this year put into play. Now, today is, for some of us, the first working day of the week because of the public holiday yesterday. There are those of us who had to work yesterday and all through the weekend. Our societies have gone, busier than normal. Is it, even though there's a camp on today and it's started, can we come in tomorrow if we just find out about it? Is it too late to sign up and get be a part of it?
Actually, I'm going to go down on a limb here and say probably tomorrow is
okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, Coach Ridville,
how you doing?
That microphone, for most people that would be a left hand, but boy, for you, that's like 4 of my hands, man. He's a big fella,
Big fella.
Yeah, you see when he rebounds in the basketball, man. He goes up there. I tell you, Shaq is a toddler compared to Coach Ridville. Good to see you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, man.
All right. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And for those who know, you guys know that you stepped away from a second from your desk, as it were, even though your desk is out in the broad and sun, doing all the coaching and the motivating and the encouraging and the nurturing and the mentoring. So thanks for sitting a few seconds in my little cubicle here.
No problem.
The Department of Sports and its ongoing camps, as we were sharing with our listeners. I know we got basketball coming up, which falls on one of your many areas of responsibility. But share with us. So we have this week cricket and netball.
Yes.
What else? Anything else on this week as well?
No, those are the only 2 camps this week.
All right. So it's now not too late just yet to get involved. And
yeah, just a couple of points that
Mhm.
organizers wanted us to highlight is that that the payment for the camps, for like we said, for those who it is a nominal fee, should be made before while registration is being done.
Okay.
Because it really helps with accounting and
yeah,
and keeping track of everything. Also, the times that they can come and pay at the office. So Monday through Thursday, it is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then Friday, this closes off a little bit earlier. This is 9 to 12.
So through Thursday they can pay up until 1, but on Fridays just up until midday.
Right.
All right. And the times for the camps, 8:30, 8 o'clock. What time they start? What are the hours of the camps?
Generally, it's 8:30 to 12. I'm gonna step to the side here and let Redver go over the schedule of the camps, the different weeks and different camps.
Okay, Coach.
Okay. Well, as you know, this week we have cricket and netball. And also, as Flynn was talking about registering at the office, just to let everybody know as well that we also do give scholarships to kids who, parents are definitely in need. So just because there's a $25 fee, that doesn't mean you got to mark yourself out. There's an opportunity for you guys to come in to the office, and we can work on getting something done for you as well.
All right. And not to be deterred by the fee. Get your children involved in a safe, nurturing environment so that for that period of time, at least you know where they are, what they're doing, and not have to be overly concerned with, for want of a better word, child care, as it were.
That's another benefit of these summer camps.
Yeah.
For sure, and knowing that your children are in a safe, structured environment.
Yeah, and it's something I think sometimes as I think back to some of us who may not have been as inclined to sports as some of our siblings or our classmates may have been reluctant, because when we're playing in PE or when we're playing in the leagues, we don't want to be excluded, whether deliberate or otherwise. During the summer camps, you get a chance to, this is what a basketball feels like. How you bounce it, or how a football will feel like. If you've never done that, you don't appreciate how challenging it can be and daunting for some people.
That's true.
It's unlike Susan, who's a gifted athlete, people don't understand, and everybody's born with that kind of style. Right, Coach Red? He's laughing at Susan. Hey, she was in Miss Teen, came back for nothing, No, but so that's the camps. DepartmentOfSports.com gives us the different camps that are on, and we can register for all of them, as many as you want, but I would imagine there are capacities.
Yes, well, for some of them they are, yes. Particularly camps like our swim camp, which actually needs to be clarified too. It's not a learn to swim. It's not a basic swim camp. This is a specialized swim camp. It's a junior lifeguard camp. So the children who attend those camps, is 3 weeks of it, then they have to be very competent swimmers in order to handle this camp. And but other than that, it goes by what we were saying earlier. It's open to various skill levels and things, but the swim camp is very specialized.
All right, so as we look at the camps, what else can you share with us now in relation to some of the other camps?
Okay, so next week there's the East End football camp, and that's July 8th to the 12th. And coach, that is the director of that camp, is going to be Dion Brandon.
Coach Dion, yeah. And that's in East End next week.
Yeah, and the maximum is 80 kids. So if you want to go to that camp, try to register as early as possible.
Okay. And 80, that's still a significant number of students. young people. Someone's asking on the ages in relation to the camps. Now, maybe when we just pause quickly and take a short break, we can come back talking more about the camps as well, as we have the assistant director, Mr. Flynn Bush, together with the basketball coach, Dwayne Ebanks, as we talk about the upcoming summer camps from the Department of Sports. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
This is JJ the Iceman. This is JJ the Iceman.
This is where the ride begins. A magical musical journey.
Weeknights on Radio Command, 8 to 10.
Music
on
Express.
Friday nights, 8 to midnight.
Music Express.
Radio K-Man's Music Express is brought to you by Taster's Choice, home of the $3 meal special.
Tune in to Business Buzz and Talk Today on Thursday, July 4th for a special roundtable discussion and in-depth look at the Cayman Islands' first constitutions and our evolution to our present-day guiding document. Special guests include attorney Steve McField, former Speaker of the House Honourable Mary Lawrence, Chairman of the Constitutional Commission Vaughn Carter, and policy analyst Jason Webster. It's all hosted by Oric Connor.
From the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again. SIXA, back to school. Members, backpack, and school supplies distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 shoe shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ready Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring identification, and if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, SIXA members backpack distribution July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 shoe shop.
July 13th in Cayman Brac, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ready Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today, and thanks for joining us in the studio. The Assistant Director of the Department of Sports, Mr. Flynn Bush, together with the coach, Dwayne Ebanks, heads up our basketball, and to get a chance to share with our listeners the various summer camps being put on by the Department of Sports. Gents, thanks very much for joining us. And as we recap, parents or guardians, even the students themselves, they wanted to check out their number of options. They could go online, departmentofsports.com, to see the information. They could call. Is it 949-7082 for information? All right. Continue, if you would, Mr. Bush, taking us through, together with Coach Redver, the various different camps, when they're being on offer. As you shared, $25 for the week. Yes, we're appreciative, and thank you for offering up the scholarships for some who may find $25 for others this year. Well, that's $25. That's not even breakfast, but it's a different world for different people. So we are very, very cognizant of the different needs. Now,
definitely.
All right. So this week, you tell us both netball and cricket are ongoing. If you want to register tomorrow for the remaining days, it's not too late.
Correct.
All right. So we're going forward and share more, Coach.
So next week we have the East End football camp, and that one is at the Donovan Rankin football field, and it's limited to 80 kids.
All right.
Also, we have the swimming camp. That's also on the 8th to the 12th. It's also the 15th to the 19th and the 22nd to the 26th. And that one is more advanced swimming camp. It's teach kids, how to be junior lifeguards.
Okay.
So you have to be, a really good swimmer for that one. Then we have our...
And if I may ask in respect to the swimming, the notion that you have 3 weeks of swimming, but it's the same camp week 1 as it is week 2 as it is week 3. So the young person that does the camp the first week would not be doing it the second and third week. You can do either week 1 or the second or the third, the 8th, the 15th, or the 22nd of July.
Right.
So you do pick one of the 3 weeks that the camp is on offer. Now it's a pool, and he was sharing, Mr. Bush, earlier that there's a limited number, probably even, I would imagine, a lower number of people for the swimming as it would be, say, for football, where you have to play field and you can do 80 people in East End next week.
Correct.
For the swimming, how many people can you safely accommodate? What's the maximum?
30 children per week.
30. So over the 3 weeks, then the potential 90 children can participate in the swimming 30 each week.
Yes.
Okay. Same $25 a week.
Correct.
All right. And then I know you don't forget the BRAC, so their swimming is also an offer as well.
Yes, that would be the week of July 29th to August 3rd.
Okay, so the end of July then. Yeah.
Into August, yes.
Right, okay. See that, man? We cover all 3 islands. All right, so that's the swimming and the football. Now, football started next week with East End, and it continues on
yes,
to the
and
districts.
We have Georgetown football camp. That is, the director for that camp is Coach Gillis Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, the maximum amount is 150 kids, and that's July 29th to August 2nd.
Okay, and where would that be, that camp?
Annex.
Is that the annex as usual? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the 29th of July through the 2nd of August at the annex field with Coach Gilly. All right, so that's the Georgetown East End, and then we do the districts.
No, that's it for us.
All right, so we got a West Bay camp as well.
Yes, we have Westerby on the July 22nd to the 26th. And the director of that camp is Coach Roy Seymour, Ebanks.
Coach Woodall, as we call him. At the primary school playing field as well.
Sir John Maycomber Field, yes. And concurrently at the same time that the week Button Down football camp would be running as well.
So at the same time that we have one for West Bay on the 22nd of July, we're running Borden Town.
Correct.
The same week.
So we cover basically all areas of Grand Cayman at a time.
All right, well, when you think about it, we have over the years significant investment in our playing fields and the like. Students can come out and enjoy it. Coach Albert, I'm told, is the sort of the facilitator for the...
Yes, he's the director for that camp.
Oh,
okay. And then on the same week that the swimming camp is happening in Cayman Brac, July 29th to August 2nd, Northside gets a chance for a football camp as well. And that is the second camp that's on the list of camps that is free.
Okay.
So that's like cricket camp, and that is also free.
Okay. And then that's in the north side at the
Old Man Bay playing field, which is being renamed to Ronald Forbes playing field.
Yeah, it's right there, man. Nice little location. North side is interesting in the spot, man. You go in there and already you feel I'm relaxed, man.
I agree. I
kind of like entering West Bay somehow. I can hear my friends going, nope, not the same. Once they see that sign, they have, huh?
No, man, West Bay is it.
we know. It's so football. Now basketball as well, Coach Ridville.
We have the basketball. That one is August 5th to the 9th. And we'll actually be running 2 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a morning session for kids ages 7 to 11. And the afternoon session is for kids ages 12 to 16. And that one is going to be at the Kamana Bay Arts and Recreation Center at Cayman International School.
Mm-hmm.
And the director for that camp is Coach Daniel Augustin.
All right, so you're doing 2 camps, morning session for the younger players, and then now with that, unlike the swimming where you say you've got to be a proficient swimmer for the swim camps because you're a junior lifeguard. For the basketball, for the football, just for emphasis, my understanding is that if you're a skillful player, aspiring NBA star, or you just want to be able to get introduced to the game, It doesn't matter. Come out and play.
Doesn't matter.
It's not a skill level. It's participation.
No, we have something for everybody.
All right. And I think it's a good way, and boys as well as girls.
Yes, it's co-ed.
Just co-ed. Come down and play, and it makes a difference. You start to see how the more students participate and compete, and I guess for me the active engagement of it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. You're just enjoying the sport. Registration, even though today is the 2nd of July, if parents were thinking, well, we want to do the basketball, and that is, August the 5th, a month away, so to speak. Do it now.
Do it now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't wait until
Do not
the
delay.
4th or the 5th. Do it now.
No.
Basketball normally fills up quick, and it's limited to 60 kids per session.
Mm-hmm.
So you should get it done now.
And I think parents would understand too that not just for the safety, but just actual physical accommodation. You're inside a basketball, sort of court. There's only so many, 5 players on a team at one time on a court for each side, as opposed to football, where you have 11 per side. Bigger field versus the basketball. There has to be obviously accommodations for the space. So 60 children maximum per session. So don't late. All right. departmentofsports.com or come by at the Schwimmbad Sport Complex or dial the number and get the details.
Yes, definitely.
All
right. I don't know if I specifically said it earlier, but the form can be just filled out by hand at the department as well when they come to pay.
So just come there, know what you want, or at least look and figure out what your child would like, sign the child up, and drop off and pick up. The camps start in the morning on our way into work, finish when we're going for lunch, so to speak. So know exactly which camp, where, when, and then get your child there. Not to impose anymore, because I know you guys go way above and beyond, but sometimes because of parents' demands for work, argument's sake, the football and the basketball camps that start 8:30, for instance. How soon can parents drop their children? 8 o'clock, 8:15?
8 p.m. 8 a.m.
8 a.m. And then please pick them up shortly after time, because it makes it safer for everybody else. I understand traffic and demands of work, but again, it comes back to being considerate of the next participant. Right, Coach?
Yeah.
That'll be cool. You see him with his Women of Valor, players all the time. And whether it is the netball that's ongoing or the cricket, the children, the prospective players really get a chance to learn and to have fun. All right, gents, we got a chance now to be joined by your good colleague, Coach Mita. Good afternoon, Coach Day.
Hi, how are you all?
Hi, Mita.
Guys,
Hey.
feeling good.
Oh man, thank you very much for again helping us to be able to have Coach Redver and Assistant Director Flynn in our studio. No.
Well, thank you very much. We needed this so that we could plug our camp. Guys, I just wanted to say, remember we have pizzas on Fridays.
For me too? Oh, sorry. I thought you were.
Well, you let me see. I think you're young enough to make the camp.
There you go. Thank you. See, my new friend now. So, for the parents, you know what? Thanks for sharing that. So, on Fridays, you'll have pizza available to all the participants.
Yes, and then through the week, and including the Friday, we have fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, along with the Gatorade and
yes.
water.
All right. So, mangoes, neeseberries, and avocados, stuff like that?
No, nothing so exotic. We wish.
Right.
We do have things like bananas and watermelons and oranges and apples. To gives a healthier option.
Yeah, but I partly was trying to be a little bit jovial, but I think it just speaks to how you guys are so committed to the young people, and hopefully the continued partnership of our corporate community and helping to nourish the young minds and their bodies as well.
Yeah, and I think it's evolved over the years, because like back then in those days we used to do chips and that kind of stuff, and we're trying to stay away from that, and then to give healthier options. And I think we could see that there will be one of those foods that a child would love.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should be fed.
Well,
have a little nibble.
I know that your camps over the years have been heavily subscribed. Many of us, sending our children, we are hopeful to come out and think. If I could ask, though, for parents to either one, what sort of, if any, assistance, volunteers do you need or would you require if there are any of us who want to help out? Is that something that would be of value instead of getting in the way, help and not hinder?
Yes, we do. I mean, the two coaches there, I mean, Flynn and Redberg could speak to that. We have, like, especially the basketball camps and the bigger football camps, we have a lot of volunteers, like up to 10 coaches, assistant coaches who we pay a small stipend, and that adds up. And then we also have people who, like, help with registration and the food, because some of the football camps have, like, actually they go out and seek sponsorships outside of the fruit and the pizza on the Friday, and actually have heavy food. And so, volunteers would be really welcome. But then obviously we're very cognizant about the darkness to light workshop, because we want our people to be trained and working with children and know the no's and the do's and not.
Right.
And that parents can feel very comfortable that their children are left with people who have been trained and that kind of stuff. So, not that we wouldn't just take volunteers, but there are a number of factors that we would want to ensure that they are covered.
Right.
Areas, yeah.
Well, thanks for that, because I think that was something we were sharing earlier, that these are not just camps to sort of childcare and giving the parents, but it's a safe, nurturing environment, as Flynn mentioned earlier, and it's commendable that you put that extra level of care and protection as we help to introduce the children to their camps and the various sports.
Yes, and as you can imagine, sometimes it proves difficult, because oftentimes you cannot get the same assistant coaches to come out, so that you might have 10 coaches this year that got trained, and then this time of the year they may be going on a camp themselves, or going to represent the country on family vacation, or haven't come back yet from university, or staying over for a summer course or something. So then you have to look for different people. So it can prove difficult. And also, you're not only just picking a volunteer to pick one, besides having those strengths, but also they have to be capable and able to coach the skill that you want to teach that specific age group that you're targeting, that they might be assigned to. Because, you're just not coming out there for kids to just, they're having fun, but you still want to teach them a skill and teach them and ensure that they're taught properly,
That's the thing. You want to make sure that they have that a positive introduction to the sport, because that could be your next, national player, as it were. But then you want to make sure that those who are somewhat more adept at the sport can benefit from it as well.
Yes, it's for everybody, all levels. I'm going to leave you guys and continue to listen.
Well, thank you very much. Remarkable. I honestly, you guys have a good team over there, and the energy and enthusiasm. I see Coach Milo some days bouncing from one sport to the next, from one district to the next. I'm thinking, does she have wings? She's just moving fast, right? Right, Coach? Now, as we look at it, Mr. Flynn?
Yeah, I also wanted to just point out also that in addition to the swim camp that we mentioned in BRAC, there are 2 other camps that our staff members will be facilitating on the BRAC this summer, and it's the football camp is actually happening right now this week, from the 2nd to the 5th, and that Mr. Gilly Seymour, Coach Gilly Seymour, he went over for that one. And then next week, the BRAC basketball camp, Coach Daniel Augustin is lined up to go over and do that one.
It's amazing as I look at the demands on your coaches. I was thinking that from what you shared, Coach Albert going to be doing the Bordentown camp, and then the next week going up to Northside to do their football camp. It's summer for some of us that we can have a relaxed time. For you guys, you just round up your sessions back to back, huh? I can imagine
it's
Coach
a chance for us to serve the
Yeah.
public, and to give something to the youth, and to ensure that they are safe for a few hours every day and are productive while they are
All right.
safe.
I appreciate it. So departmentofsports.com for information. Get
Yes.
registered. Any other thoughts, Coach Redville, Mr. Flynn?
I think Mr. Bush hit everything.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And as the weeks roll on, a quick phone call to the studio if you need for highlight information sharing, as it were, but for the public. Log on to the website, come over to the sports office, get our children registered for the various summer camps, and just enjoy. I mean, it's a wonderful partnership. Hopefully, we'll continue to extend that through the community sponsorship and participation, and keep the young people engaged in a safe, nurturing way.
Exactly. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you very much for having us on.
It's our pleasure, man. Our Department of Sports.
Thank you, Miss Susan.
Isn't she amazing, man? I tell you, boy, as the summer goes on, she gets better, you know. You just wait till later on.
Like fine wine.
Ah, boy, I don't know. That's a sip you want to savor. All right, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
The following is a special announcement from the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again. SIXA Back to School. Member Backpack and School Supplies Distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring identification, and if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, SIXA members backpack distribution July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
July 13th in Cayman Brac, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
RC Fusion, featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Nathan General Maintenance and Construction. You break it, they fix it. Call the General for a free quote. 917-7586.
RC Fusion. Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us for this open line edition here on Talk Today, 949-6990, 949-8037, or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. Invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. Now, our WhatsApp still works in the summer, 925-3261. If you want to share a thought or two, happily engage you as you wish. Very, very grateful for the quick opportunity then to speak to our friends from the Department of Sports to remind us, and for some of us, to actually inform us of their ongoing summer camps all summer long, whether it's football or basketball whether it's cricket or netball, whether it's swimming or otherwise, they have camps on. Go to the Department of Sports website, www.departmentofsports.com. Look at the different offer that they have of various summer camps in the different districts and the like, including on Cameron Brack. Or you can call them, Department of Sports, 949-7082. Please fill out the registration form, pay your fee of $25. There are a couple of camps that are free. Now, as they shared, hopefully this doesn't offend anybody, but if you find that, listen, $25 a little bit tight, you can't make it, don't let that deter you. There may be a scholarship available that you can still get your children involved. Maybe you got a few children and you can afford to pay for one but not the others. You can make a contribution. Okay, talk to them. They'll tell you. They'll deal with you, not just respectfully and professionally, but confidentially. And it's best to get your children in a safe, nurturing environment, and not let something keep you away, especially if you feel as if it's on your part. You're not inclined to ask for help. Sometimes a help up is just what we need. So, Department of Sports, thanks to them for their ongoing summer camps, and to the individual and corporate contributions, whether it's in cash or kind, whether it's assistance with some of the food or otherwise. This is what makes our communities healthy and stronger. And when you're a recipient, maybe at some point you'll be able to be a contributor as well. All right, open line 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. Was looking at a couple of things that some of you had sent to me in relation to not just the regional news or the international news or things that are printed in our local media, and how the recent celebrations, as we look at Celebrate Cayman, and now we focus on our Constitution. We know that some of our politicians have traveled to the region, and as they travel, the media, maybe because they are familiar with the politicians, maybe it's just a newsworthy item, have spoken. And I haven't looked at it specifically, but I'm told that the Honourable Speaker of the House, while he was recently in Jamaica, had a conversation with some of the reporters from the Jamaica Gleaner, and he, as relayed to me, has shared with them that the Cayman Islands government is well on the way to either approving or has approved the increase in the building heights. Now, I've got two comments amongst many that I'll highlight from some of the individuals who reportedly seen that, read it, saw it, heard it, or otherwise have shared their comments on it. And they said, well, 80 stories, why stop there? Why not make it 150 or 200 stories? They didn't say it in a sort of malicious, facetious way, but others have said, well, where are we doing this? Like everything else, you hear more from the outside than you do on the inside. And then someone said, well, are we gone off the rails in this instance? We can't manage a 10-story building. Why are we considering almost a 100-story building? Now, land values, perhaps the challenges to infrastructure. Now, as one person sort of placed it, are we stopping and thinking about 50 or 100 years from now? Is the society that we're creating not just the physical landscape, whether we're looking at other similar sort of land masses and the high rises that are there, but are we looking at the socio, sort of societal impact and the socioeconomic consequences of what we're doing? And as she was sharing with me, she says because of her job, sometimes she's in the Middle East, sometimes she has the chance to the Far East, and sometimes she's in Europe, and sometimes she's in North America. And as the years roll on, she's found herself that she has, not because of leisure and vacation travel, but because of work, had to visit different parts of the world. And other than the conference rooms and maybe a restaurant or two, rarely has she been able to return to these places for vacation. So she's only seen it as while on business, as it were. But being driven about from the airport to the hotel or from point A to point B and looking up, sometimes you can't see the skyline because of the towering and imposing buildings. Midday in some places could be a late evening because there's little or no sunshine, not just because of the time of year, but just because of the positioning of the buildings in the sun and the limited sunlight sort of hitting the streets. Now, is that what we will have in Cayman? Is that what we want? Or what is your thought? Now, she did share that as we look at our building heights and building densities, why are we looking at commercial spaces? Why are we not looking at the residential spaces? Not to create only smaller, sort of available land for our properties, but could we have more in terms of residential accommodations without creating slums or other negative and derogatory terms that we use? And she was sharing, for instance, if someone was to have a piece of land, and it was her example, if it was 20 or 30 feet wide by, 50, 70, 80, 100 feet, could that person build on that? She said that she was, recently overseas, saw firsthand a very small piece of property that someone was able to build what she thought, was a very, very luxurious home. It wasn't very wide. She got invited back, to these people, sort of new residents in the city center. She thought, wow, this house is a fraction of the size of the space she lives in, but yet it was multi-stories. It was long and narrow, I guess would be the way to describe it. But it had all the conveniences. It had all the trappings. She was able to access so much. Now, it requires a certain mindset and lifestyle. Would that be allowed in Cayman? Would we look at it the same as we would, or do we still want these sprawling sort of estates? Now, in our country, as we consider, she shares, increasing our building heights for our hotels and our offices and our commercial and hospitality spaces, are we also looking at our residential spaces? Not just the mixed use, but the notion that someone builds a development and it's not one of these affordable housing, high density areas, but someone who builds a residential community that is more accommodating to I guess, as she puts it, clientele with a level of wealth and expectations of luxury and convenience. Your thoughts? 949-837, 949-6990. Now, with all of the events that were transpiring over the weekend, did you get a chance to go and watch the football, for instance? Were you out on yesterday at the Georgetown Town Hall for the renaming ceremony? As you look at the celebrations and you heard or read or otherwise witnessed any of the speeches from any of the dignitaries, any particular thoughts relative to our Constitution? Any thoughts relative to the historical record and the potential impact of what we may see going forward relative to our future? 949-837, 949-6990, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. I must share, I had a wonderful evening on Saturday, not just participating in the football match, but being able to go across to the Dwayne Ebanks boxing gym and to see the bouts as we welcome the team from Trinidad and Tobago against our own boxers here. Another offering at the gym was packed, standing room only. Excellent bouts. Let's go to our phones though. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, my good friend. How are you today?
I'm very thankful and pleasantly blessed.
Amen to that, brother.
Dwayne, what I'm calling for is that, here we are suggesting to increase to 100,000 people, immigration-wise within our country. But I'm at a loss as to how we're gonna accomplish that. I say that because it is so sad. I mean, it's got to be almost 100 degrees out there, and it's so sad to see the amount of people at approximately 1:45 that was congregated outside the immigration department, waiting to do whatever transactions as they may see fit, simply because the immigration department cannot hold the volume of people that they're seeing visiting their office. And so if we're going to increase immigration, and I want to hope that they're not give the additional 40,000 people Caymanian status, that I don't, so they would keep out of the immigration department.
Mm-hmm.
We're always talking about what we're going to do, but there's never anything about the infrastructure of the island. I mean, the people on the outside is no fault of those people working in immigration. They're not the immigration officer's fault that they're congregated. It's just that the people have nowhere to go, right? I mean, and there's not even a little tent, a little shelter, nothing for those people. If rain come, I guess they've got to leave and go find somewhere else to find shelter.
Mm-hmm. It's your points are taken, but if I can go back to the first one, this notion that we're looking to seemingly increase our population to 100,000. There are those who say, you know what, that's how business is going to grow, that's how we can expand. And there are some who are concerned that our infrastructure can't cope with what we have now. So not just the infrastructure needs, but the potential impact on the society. Where do you think we are as a people relative to our population growth? I mean, are we prepared for it? Are we planning for it? Or is it going to be another thing that is going to happen and we're just going to be caught off guard?
We're to be very honest with you, we're not nowhere near ready for that sort of an increase in our population. We're by far not ready for that. I mean, just look at our streets. I mean, the traffic is horrific. I mean, there is really a lot of traffic that is on the island, and if you get that amount of increase, then you're gonna have, without you make it like Bermuda, where they can't have a vehicle.
Right.
It's
Do you think, if I may ask, then, do you think that so far in the last few weeks, particularly, you want to say the last few months, as your perspective shaped, by your experiences, that the traffic has gotten increasingly worse over the last few weeks, few months?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, with the amount of vehicles that are coming in here, I mean, you look at the statistics and every day there is some little lot that is opening up.
Okay.
Someone find a vacant lot, and you see all of these deported Japanese vehicles there.
Right.
Yeah, it's certainly there's been an increase. I mean,
so is that increase then from not just an increased population, but the existing population now accessing cars? So more of us that live here and are now driving, as opposed to more people coming in. Which do you think it is?
Well, I guess the mixture.
Speculate. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And the reason why I'm asking is that someone, well, and only if you're so engaged, right? And I wanted to share this, but do you think now that the population is closer to, say, 60,000 or closer to 100,000, if you were guessing based on all the things we've seen in the last year or so, recent traffic increases that have been noticeable? And I'll tell you what someone shared with me, just as an analogy. But what do you think? You had a guess. Closer to 60, closer to 100?
Vehicle-wise?
No, people-wise.
Well, I mean, they're saying it was 50-something thousand, but it's got to be over 60 now.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking, I had a chance to chat again very early this morning again with someone who's been looking with bated breath and anticipation to our census next year and then the test census this year. And they said they've been working on a project to try to determine a few things relative to the population growth and the demands. Now, there's another exercise why they're doing this that I don't think I'm, one, privy to share, but two, fully informed to do it justice. And their hypothesis is that come summer, if they're right, then we're going to see a marked increase in traffic, because to date, every summer we would see traffic easing off. Is that a fair assessment? We used to see traffic less during the summers. Schools are out, people are away. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. But this summer now hasn't started good yet, and already we've noticed that traffic is just as bad almost as it is when school is in. Not as bad, but almost, right?
Yeah, and then you got to understand that every year too, every year we have, certainly every year we got a situation whereby they've got loads of new drivers, youngsters who are
qualified to drive,
license and driving, very eager to drive. So we see that increase. It's just really the traffic situation here in Cayman is really, really terrible. It is really, 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 really terrible.
Right. No, man, and it is.
And for any increase here, it's going to simply be, it's going to be, for any increase, it's going to see any increase in numbers of residences. We're going to see a major increase of needs on our infrastructures, and even though the government continues to build roads, and I applaud them, but it's just, until they get that east-west arterial completed, that we can have the benefit of two roads, going into the eastern districts, then it's going to be very, very difficult going forward. When you look at those people who traverse from East End to Georgetown on a daily basis, you're talking about people having to leave their homes at hours of after 6, and then when they're going home, then they're getting home a long time outside the normal hour that you should take to traverse to get home. I am so happy to know that I live in the district of West Bay, because it's got to be really, really bad that I can't be home in 20 minutes after leaving town, But for those people going living in the Eastern District.
But it's been that way for years, though, right?
Oh, yeah. You remember when we had the same situation in West Bay, but it was improved by the road that was put in. It was substantially improved.
But my recollection, and I wonder sometimes if it's, and I'm glad you mentioned that. The West Bay Road lunch times were horrible. Trying to go in to get lunch to do anything. Christmases were exceptionally, bad. But the mornings and the evenings, traffic was bad. But I've always believed that coming and going to, Prospect, to Savannah, has always been worse than West Bay. The traffic that we face. Now, you're right. It's a whole lot better now. But do you think then building the roads, the new roads, whether we spend 10 million or 100 million or $1 billion, that's only a short-term solution? What is it that we can do? Is there anything we can do to address the whole issue of the traffic that we're facing?
Again, it comes down to the government has to make a decision to limit the amount of vehicles that are allowed per family. It's coming to that. You got some household that owns, if it's 6 people there, they got 6 cars,
or if not more,
or more. And yes, it's your fundamental right to own a vehicle and to drive one, but the government does have the authority vested in them to make certain limitations as it relates to anything within sense, to better assist the infrastructure of the island. The island can't take anymore right now. It's popping at the seams.
But then if we have the population increase, so we go to 100, 120, we've heard higher numbers, similar strains. What do you think if we were to impose sort of restrictions on those who are here on work permit or otherwise? No. I'm so engaged in the conversation that I forgot Miss Susan telling me we got a news break. I always welcome what you share. Do you want to join us some more, or do you call it that for the day.
I got time to call you back. I just realized that myself.
Well, those are the questions I would ask of you. All right.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much too. My apologies to Ms. Susan. These are questions. Let's ask ourselves and answer them when we come back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. The Utility Regulation and Competition Office, OFREG, approves CUC's application for a base rate increase. CUC says its customers will see a marginal increase in the energy component of their bills. In international news, the BBC says Ursula von der Leyen is the first woman nominated to lead the European Union after days of wrangling over top EU jobs. China accuses protesters who vandalized the Hong Kong Parliament on Monday of serious illegal actions that trample on the rule of law. And scientists say last weekend's record-setting heat wave in France and Europe was made 5 times more likely by climate change. They say the all-time French high was almost 4 degrees higher than it would have been 100 years ago. Those are your headlines. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks so much for joining us. It's open line as we go to our phones. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Hello. Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Yeah, how you doing?
Not bad, General. How's it going, man?
Oh, boy. What the old people say, cold and sober.
It could be worse, you know.
Think so, eh?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but anyway. Good to hear from you, man. Hopefully your day gets better as the hours roll on, you know?
Yeah, I hope for the best, but expect the worst. That's what they say.
Well,
Hope for the worst, yeah.
Plan and preparation, man. I know what I mean. So what's on your mind today, man? Always interested to hear your perspective.
It's been in my mind for some time now,
Mm-hmm.
and others as well. They got a lot of what they call, I guess, priority issues coming from right, left, and center. But I think my opinion is that what should be given priority, our environment, the enormous amount of vegetation that's being demolished,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of concrete you see springing up. People are saying, oh my God, is this June? This is the hottest June I ever felt. Well, prepare, because you should be prepared to feel a little more warmer temperatures than what we're getting now.
All the concrete creating that sort of built up, what they call a heat island effect, no? Just making it hotter and hotter.
Right. And every politician and his brother, plus other people in positions that I expect much better from,
Mm-hmm.
no one seems to be addressing or even speaking about the issue that we have here with the warmer temperatures. I was 5 weeks in Europe, and I was so enlightened to be there. The difference between there and here. I cannot fathom, I cannot think why we have people that is elected, people that represent this island, that is not taking a firm stand and saying, look, this has to change. I mean, we are an extremely small island.
Mm-hmm.
If I can find the article, I would like to bring it for you. I
Please.
read that in 1999. That article dictated in 1999, the average temperature in the Cayman Islands in 1975 was 75, 77 degrees, average temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It said in 1999 now, the temperature then was 85 to 87 degrees, okay?
Wow.
That was in 1999. And here we are now, 20 years later, and all I can hear about is the referendum and what have you about the dock and the port and so on. Okay, that is good in its place, but what about the global warming? Let's kind of, if you don't mind,
Yes, sir.
we're going to penetrate this a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I am telling you that you're going to have people dropping down because of heat exhaustion, dehydration, and so on and so forth, because nobody is taking any interest in what's happening. I spoke to several people saying, oh my God, I just come out of the air conditioning and I can't believe the heat, exhaustion, the heat that I'm feeling.
Yeah, man. I mean, as I listened to you, a fella said it in jest, but he said he didn't realize how hot it was till he looked outside and saw his mango trees coming inside for a little shade. So it is getting hot, but we're ignoring it, right?
This is it. In how much are going to afford air conditioning, whether it's a central air or whether it's just a unit, window unit or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
How many are going to be able to afford it? Even now, people can afford it. You look around and you see some people trying to catch a little bit of shade someplace, and you can see those people are not so energetic. Okay?
Right. But it's compounded too when we look at, it's seemingly, and I haven't, maybe I should, but I haven't looked at it in any great detail. But someone shared just again earlier that CUC, when summers roll around, seem to be when they approve their rate increases. And yes, they may say you only see a small increase in your bill, but in the summer, that small increase is not so small.
Absolutely.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? And anyone that is smart enough or over bright enough to think that CUC or electricity is the answer, they are making such a grave mistake. My friend, Mother Nature never fails us and never failed to correct us. Even in let's say in a place I was the other day, Coral Gables.
Mm-hmm.
If you take down a tree, you have to get permission. And 9 out of 10 chances, be prepared to put another tree back if it's not in that same area. Anyway, you have to replace the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So again, what's wrong with these people that they cannot see the light, that we need to do something to stop these people from really demolishing the island, putting up concrete? Where are we heading? I'll tell you, I'm going to leave now, but it sounds bad. This is my prediction. Another 10 years, at the rate we're going, this is going to be one of the most undesirable places to be when it comes to environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be nothing but concrete, and the rich and famous, even those, are going to think twice if they should stay here. It is such a shame that we do not have anybody that represents us. Like I said, not just politicians, but in government, that is not taking a serious stance in making some public statements, having public meetings, and saying to the rich and famous, you cannot do this. Now, the game is over. We have to rectify what you're doing.
But it's not even just the rich and famous. I mean, some would say it's the infamous equally. There are those who are posturing and, pontificating, but it's us that are allowing a lot of these things to happen because we're not willing to, set the tone, as it were. And I hear what you're sharing, but where are we? The people who live and work here who are saying, well, is this what we want? Is today's sort of commitment and investment good for long-term enjoyment and safety security?
Well, as far as you say now, I understand and I agree somewhat of what you're saying. But you want to know that there's a lot of voices crying in the wilderness who is shut off, don't want to be heard, and will never be heard if we don't really get up as not just a community, but as an island as a whole, and decide that somebody has to listen to us.
Right.
So it's not that people are not talking, but who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to go to? They don't want to hear from people like me or you.
But is it then, respectful, is it a case that when we see something happen and once it doesn't affect us then and there and directly, we don't get involved? If an issue is unfolding in one particular part of the country, maybe it's one district, maybe it's only on one island, as a country we don't see, well, if it's an issue of beach access or if it's an issue of maybe illegal dumping here, or it's an issue of somebody building a particular thing in a certain area, we ignore it. We don't see that it's a wider impact on the country, not just infrastructure, but if they do it in Section A, could they come down and do it, in another section as well? Are we not seeing the impact, as they say, on the greater good, and as you were sharing, on the wider society?
No, you're certainly right. But again, people are saying now, they have made numerous reports about people dumping and, littering the place. And come on, let's face it, you haven't heard anyone of going to court and be fined for littering? I haven't heard anybody.
No. But is that then because as a people we are accepting of it? We blame the lack of enforcement, but then are we also, should be blaming those of us who see it happen and turn a blind eye, or who may be ourselves doing it and say, wait a minute, we shouldn't be doing this? Take as an example that we may think is a very simple one. Not to be on the front to the people to do it, but let's say you have a gardener and there's an empty lot, whether next door to your land, whether in the same neighborhood, whether it's down the road, and all it is the yard clippings from your yard. All right, are we accepting that it's okay to take that grass, those tree branches, and dump it on that empty lot? It's not household garbage. It's going to at some point rot down. Let's say that we're even very careful to know that it has no mealy bug or any other kind of diseased plant, but we dump it there. Some of us are okay with that. We believe that's par for the course. Is it?
Listen, let's call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly speaking, honestly speaking, in my area at the Point Cabagala Road, the amount of horses that ride on the road, on the beach, and the amount of reports that have been made about the horse manure, that if you take a dog up the street on a walk, you got to be careful where you walk in, and then you got to watch the traffic coming, that you don't get in collision with the traffic. Where is the Department of Environment? You're going to say they haven't reported. If it's somebody is turning a blind eye, it's got to be those people in authority that is really turning a blind eye and couldn't care less. That's the way Ormond sees it. Until somebody can come to me and confront me and show me and tell me what they're doing, then I will say a lot of the issues that we're facing is because lack of people in authority are not enforcing the laws. And we got a serious problem with that. You got the rains coming, washing it back in the street if it's not on somebody's property. You got the flies, you got the stench. Maybe sometimes between 50 and 60 horses on the beach. Okay? So what's happening, other jurisdictions, they're supposed to have a sack behind them, old boy. It's only in Cayman that you see them taking advantage of this because nobody's accountable.
Well, why is that? I mean, and that's a question, unfortunately, that we're not seeing. All right. Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, you say, why is that? Because, like I said, the people in authority is not paying any attention. And if they want to call me or they want to confront me, I'm here for open debate anytime. But it's a shame to see what's happening to this environment. And this is not the only day that I am going to be pounding that. Look for me in frequent times. I'm going to be calling because there's something just as important as the referendum or the dock or whatever in the traffic. That's good in its place. But we have a serious environment problem that nobody is paying attention to. Mr. Sterling, so much for listening to me. Thank you again. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you too, sir. Thank you for sharing. And one final break, Ms. Susan, is all we're sharing. Phone lines are open. A few minutes that you can call and give us your perspective. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Tasty Patties. Baked fresh every 30 minutes. Available at Tortuga locations, the Patty Express Industrial Park, and Bake It and Take It on Eastern Avenue. Get tasty now.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up.
Sing praises unto God, sing praises. Come on, sing praises unto God, sing praises. Hallelujah. Lord, I thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day.
Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Praising me down, yeah. Praise the healer, praise the healer, jumping. Are you ready? Here we go. Set. I feel like running, skipping, running. Hey, let's skip it.
Praise time.
Give me Jesus in the morning. I will. So send me, Lord. I will go. Born again. Thank God I'm born again.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30. The following is a special announcement from the Cayman Islands Civil Service Association.
It's that time again. SIXA Back to School. Member Backpack and School Supplies Distribution will take place July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
And July 13th in Cayman Brac from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing.
Members, you are being asked to kindly bring identification, and if you are collecting bags on behalf of another member, please bring a written signed note from that member with a copy of their ID as well. Remember, SIXA members backpack distribution July 8th to the 12th, daily from 1 to 7 p.m. in Grand Cayman at the SIXA office located on the second floor of the Hospital Road Plaza above number 1 Shoe Shop.
July 13th in Cayman Brac, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Civic Center Medical Wing. And to quote Anthony D'Angelo, develop a passion for learning. If you do, you will never cease to grow.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037. 949-6990. Or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. And likewise, if you want, you can send us your thoughts on our WhatsApp, 925-3261. And it's very, very interesting to see how many of us are not only, listening and watching and reading the international and regional media. And as some of you have shared the link to the article in the Sunday edition, I think it is, of the Jamaican Gleaner. Well written, truly, truly remarkable publication. And that shows you the intellect and the respect of the media and the competence of the staff. It's good to know that newspapers, as well as print media, when we see the gifted abilities of people to write. Now, I love radio. That's probably the only instrument I can play, the radio. But I love listening to it, and it's immediate, it's impactful. But together, if we have a media that is objective and impartial, not like some media places and media in some countries where it's no question. If it's the government of the day, you're going to get a certain voice, whether it's in favor or it's opposed. We need to have a media that is objective and supports the government when it's time and reasonable, but equally opposes in a civilized, respectful way a policy, a proposal, or even a particular position that the government may take. That way the populace can be informed. That's not to say that there aren't scope within even that same sort of newscast or publication for a pro-view or an anti-view, against once it's done in a civilized or responsible, respectful manner. What does it say? If you surround it but everybody agrees with you, chances are you're not hearing the truth. 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free at 1-800-534-TALK. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Why, listen, I am doing well, and my prayer is that tomorrow I even do better, and the day after that, and the day after that, and 100 years from now, man, you think I was a teenager. Talk to me, man.
Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
All this country know, and everybody have a great respect to a minister who served this country very well. And everyone know this man, Mr. Mike Adam, is a very honest, nice, good citizen of this country who did very well for his country and his people.
Mm-hmm.
But when Mr. Mike Adam, as I get information that he is patient that much, that tell you how much this man is nice and good person.
Mm-hmm.
When he have a neighbor, American neighbor, who block a road going to Mr. Adam house with stones from the picture circulating in the media,
mm-hmm.
and putting a gate in a public easement, a public interest to everyone to walk, and threaten Mr. Adam's son, as we hear in the recording being put in the public media. And there is a court order to open that road. And unfortunately, in this country, the police are protecting the criminal, protecting the one doing the wrong.
I hear your sentiments, and as much as some of us would probably want to use the language that you use, can I ask a question? If it's this issue of a public right-of-way or an easement or some sort of access, just like the beach access is, just like the allegations of even hotels and condos and private residences, whether on 7 Mile Beach, whether it's in Cameron or any other, we've had these similar issues before where people have challenged the either the removal or the blocking of such accesses. What are we doing about it? How do we protect and preserve it to ensure, one, there's a respect for privacy and people are not impeding, otherwise imposing themselves, but equally people are not blocking established rights away?
And look, let me tell you one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are some foreigners come to this country. They have a couple of dollars. They think they're above the law. And those people need to understand and know this thing. Number one, this country is Cayman Island, not United States. Not any American can come here and behave.
But it's not just America. I mean, anybody in particular. I hear you're sharing, but if we have a behavior in our country, whether it's either a tacit approval by a government turning a blind eye or citizens not standing up and saying, okay, this access, it doesn't have to be to the beach. It could be right away over a road. Look at some of the older, more established communities, even within Georgetown, where you could move freely from one part of town to the next. Are those access and footpaths still preserved?
Yeah, you see, Dwayne, look, access to the beach, access to somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
If the land and survey says this is the right for a person to walk here, why somebody from other country come and behaving like this in this country? It's disgrace.
Mm-hmm.
And this government, I'm calling in this government to take an action, because the Caymanian people getting angry and demonstrating in the location, and tomorrow the police standing protecting this man is ridiculous. It is very ridiculous how the situation of the Caymanian people reach. It is very ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you, but maybe it's not just the accesses. Maybe it's the development, whether new developments or existing developments that want to, say, create gated communities. Maybe it's the issue of public land that is now converted from a leasehold to freehold. A planning permission, for instance, to build on what people thought was a public right-of-way to the beach. Are there things that we're not paying attention to because it's out of sight, out of mind, or because it's not us who are directly affected by it, it's them? Well, if it happens in one part and nobody says anything about it, does that create a precedent for it to now happen in another part? And I hear your sentiments, and these sort of protests, as they were, public or otherwise, whether they're now civil, could they be, the mountain ground for something? Because what they say, sometimes it is the straw that breaks the camel's back. I hear your perspective, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. And like so much, is it that we call on the government, the elected and appointed, because we believe they're not doing their job? Have we tied their hands and they're unable to do their job? If we feel they're not doing the job, what are we? The people. Isn't it a democracy? What to say, for the people, by the people, of the people, and as it were? What are we doing to make sure that there's a civil and just society? Sometimes people flex their muscles because nobody counters. Sometimes they believe it's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. But if we sit down and let things happen, people might think, well, that's easy. You can walk over and stomp on them. Or other times they may say, well, I'm not quite sure what it is, but this is what I would like. So let's see if this is possible. It's so much that unfolds, and it is unfortunate that for some people, they get to a point where they push so far that when they push back, we have all sorts of things to say about them because we don't realize that they've been pushed just, a little bit too far. Well, I'm sure there's more to come tomorrow as we invite you to be a part of For the Record. Join me start in the morning. Come back for Talk Today after the midday news and midday meditation. We know that Thursday, the 4th of July, we told us when we signed, our new constitution, as it were at the time, celebrating 60 years. So the business buds would have a chance for that, roundtable discussion. Connor's going to have a very busy week this week because he's going to come back on Thursday doing the Talk Today segment and do the same as well. I don't know. Maybe I can orchestrate something else there, but we'll see what happens. Hey, listen, love in this country, celebrate its people, its accomplishments. Don't be, unwilling to celebrate and to make sure that we stand for what is right and just. Please give Miss Susan a call, keep her company, and listen to the good music she plays. If you have a request, as I said to you, you're not quite sure what a song is, you can hum a bar or two. Chances are she knows the rest of the lyrics and will play it for you. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
After all that talk, sit back, relax,